So before we move on to the next part, I wanted to take us back to the Zogel gem mines, which, if you're anything like me, you never wanted to see again. But it's because I failed to demonstrate this dumb thing when I actually play this area. The Squelch comes equipped with a horrible scream button. Whenever you press the cast spell button, it does that. And now, on to the episode.
Stoneheath.
Well said. Brief to the point, no rambling editorials, no filler, no lame I'm done talking.
And officially welcome back to what I'm sure you recognize as Darkened Skye. It's our exciting new area. Very Stonehenge inspired, and time to get right into the story with this glowing dot.
Hello. Last name Bell? First name Tinker?
I am the spirit of Gwynella. In the foretimes I roamed these hills on my great white horse, guarding the rainbow and the sacred prism. Now my spirit wanders restlessly.
How can I help you?
Only by reviving my beloved horse, and then me. Alas, the answers lie deep in the past.
Being a now kind of gal, that's not a lot of help. Can't you give me a nudge in the right direction?
It is said that an ancient creature holds the key.
I was hoping for a little more.
That is all I can tell you. If my horse can be made to walk again, you must bring her to the place where my earthly remains lie. Far from here, in the Bone Lands.
The Bone Lands. Chipper, this just gets better and better.
No, it doesn't. Oh, right, the sarcasm thing.
There we go. This level has a bit of a time manipulation gimmick. Not implemented quite the way you would expect, but that's sort of going to be our goal. Meet this Gwynella in person. Perhaps this newly collected Rumblestone will be of use. It won't, it's for side pickups. You may also notice that the ground is alive. The sky is also alive. That's nothing new though. The ground being alive is thanks to a new enemy called Sandstalker. And according to the manual, rumors of its existence inspired a series of films in a faraway land. They've got some audacity claiming to have inspired Tremors, but they're really banking on nobody ever playing this game, I guess. And indeed, the monster is just up in that molehill. The tendrils that it sends to the ground are not the monster itself and are therefore impervious to harm. And the monster is also pretty much immune to melee strikes, so gonna need some pulse spells. Gives us a chance to look at our new spells. Got Magnify Magic. Increases the efficacy of one spell. Seems kind of wasteful, but we can't cast it anyway. Diminish, temporarily shrink. Affliction, damage over time. And Universal Smite, which is apparently an area of effect spell. We'll see that in action, and perhaps be less than impressed by it in the near future. But right now we can't cast any of them. They all require purple Skittles, and we do not yet wield the power of Grape. So, not for us. But we do have Pyro Pulse and Polar Pulse. I'm going to equip them both, because we're going to go through a lot of mana dealing with these enemies. They've got very high health pools. So even though Polar Pulse does a lot of damage, it's going to take a lot to take them out. Oh, and Carpies are back. Okay, I think that killed the Sandstalker. Hard to tell because their floor attack will continue to go for a couple of seconds after they're dead. Can very easily kill you, which is frustrating. But you can see Polar Pulse is insanely powerful. Kills the Carpy in 2 hits. So we actually have scaled up nicely. Makes the game a lot more fun, honestly. Now back here, got a little hidden cabin, but before we investigate that, we've got a big one here to demonstrate just how much we scaled up. This guy used to be a complete nightmare, real terrifying boss fight that was very hard to overcome. Now we can just sort of kite it backwards, kill it with less than a full mana pool of Polar Pulse. And it gets frozen along the way so it can't chase us as effectively. Good stuff. No longer a hair-pulling nightmare. But anyway, on to the cabin.
Looks like an old blacksmith shop.
Looks like Crudola.
That's a big nope.
So for some reason we want to get in here. But the door won't budge, so time for the nuclear option. And we better get our distance, because all of the debris follows a set path, and if you're in that path, it will kill you. Not outright, but it will do a lot of damage to get to where it's going. And usually my health is very low. Low enough to be killed by it. So we get some more bombs. And a couple of key items. A strange box, and a crowbar. Very fond of crowbars in video games. This one is less useful than others that I'm acquainted with.
Drac? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, but there's not a pizza place within miles.
I'm talking about the cliff. It looks like it was alive at one time.
Classic Pinky and the Brain exchange, but apparently this is a cliff that used to be alive. It's made out of stone, so only one thing to do. Awaken it. Hey, things aren't really getting that much harder. Really, they're getting easier as the levels progress.
That creature's been out of it so long, even the awakened stone spell can't budge him.
My god. Truly an insurmountable hurdle. If only we had Amplify Magic or something, that would probably do the trick. But we don't.
I wonder if these stones are aligned with the stars. Could be some kind of ancient calendar.
Or slot machine. Big slot calendar is good.
So that's what our Stonehenge here is. Huh. And there's a little more to it.
A slot.
Told you it was a slot machine.
See? Perfect. So we need to come back here when we have the means to activate the slot machine, get big money prizes. We do not currently have that ability. And there's probably plenty more enemies to fight around here. You could very easily duck down and get through there, Skye. But no, she's not very limber. So we're going to have to resort to magic. Yeah, before we investigate that conspicuous thing off in the distance, got a little more combat to deal with. Sort of optional, but you know. There's a rumblestone in here, so always something to show off. I guess that first rumblestone wasn't optional. You know.
A rumblestone.
But this one is, and that voice clip is definitely optional. But anyway, all that's left is to deal with yet another strange sea creature. You can only assume we're eventually going to get consumed by it like we did the last Leviathan. But once I go over there, it's going to activate a cutscene followed by perhaps the single largest journal entry to date. Skye just really goes crazy talking about this thing after we meet it. So I guess I'm gonna have to go silent and just stand there for a while I put those on screen. I hope that works out in some viewable manner, but for now, let's just look at the thing.
Whoa, what's that?
Not a spring chicken is my guess.
What did Gwinella's spirit say? An ancient creature holds the key. With my swimming skills, we're golden.
Yeah, like toast.
Remember before when I said I couldn't swim? Ditto. Unless you want me to walk on water.
Believe that's the same hint that she drops several times throughout these numerous journal entries. So we probably kept old Nessie here waiting long enough. Probably time to figure out a way to walk on water. And that way is actually kind of awesome, in my opinion. If we look at the Polar Pulse spell, it says we can freeze standing water. If you played Breath of the Wild, same basic concept as whatever that one ability is called. You can make little platforms. This is absolutely everything that Spongeite should have been. Like, this is actually fun. We have control. The platforms are large enough to actually land on.
Alright, let me out of here. Whoa! Hey, there's that sock I lost. Gwynella said an ancient creature holds the key.
And they actually did have us get devoured by another sea creature. What do you know? This game's running out of bits. It's starting to call itself out more and more, actually. It is interesting. I guess that'll happen in a 300-page script, which is what this game had. That'd be like a 5-hour movie, but it's merely a 10-hour game. So that object we were just given inside the creature's strange intestinal tract, I assume, which we never got to see, is some kind of tablet that happens to fit perfectly. And that powers up Stonehenge. Now these buttons will work, and we just have to solve a puzzle, which is getting the sequence of symbols on the tablet to line up with this row right here that has the arrow pointing at it. And I pretty much just do that by randomly pressing buttons. Yeah, for some reason that puzzle, you step on them in any random order and it gets solved in a couple of seconds. I've never actually looked at what the symbols on the tablet are. It just happens automatically. Anyway, meet our new friend from the past.
Hello? What sort of being are you?
A most befuddled one. Are we in the past remembering the future? Or the future remembering the present? Or the... Ooh, you have tampered with the great stellar calendar. You have set back time itself.
Oops.
I am called a Watcher. Throughout the 4 times I watched over these lands. But then, at last, I was drawn into sleep.
4 times? Did you know Gwynella?
Protector of the rainbow, guardian of the sacred orange prism.
Prism? Great! And I could snag that puppy where?
Only Gwynella knows. But sadly, she rides no more.
If I can revive her horse, maybe then she'll ride again. Can you help me?
Complete the reversal of time that you have begun. The next time key is sealed within a puzzle box that only these hands can open. When you find the puzzle box, bring it forth to me.
So this big rock guy is, I guess, dexterous enough to solve our problems for us. And it so happens that we do have that problem on our very person at this moment. It was inside the blacksmith shop. I just neglected to show it off. But we got the crowbar for use in serious crowing, and the puzzle box, which Skye has attempted to open, but to no avail. So let's hand it off to the expert.
Complete the reversal of time that you have
didn't
begun.
work.
The key to the next of the great stone timepieces.
Guess all you have to do is bop it right on the head. That opened it right up. Guess it was a little too simple for Skye to try. While we're talking about Gwynella, I'll show off the quest that we got after we talked to her spirit. It was... play Frankenskye and return Gwynella to life. Not that we're going to be sewing her pieces back together from multiple different corpses. We're going to be more like Herbert West Skye Reanimator or something. Anyway, we now have our Grape Skittle, which will allow us to cast Diminish, which is a pretty cool spell. Mostly just a key, but, you know, it's a neat key. Look at that. Then we can go right into this anthill. Get much needed health potions. It has a very, very short duration, and it makes your running speed very slow because your legs are much shorter. But it does not wear off while we are inside of a enclosed space, because that would be lethal. Luckily, that's one of the very few ways that we cannot die in this game. So, we got a second key. We gotta find a way to use that here in Stonehenge. Maybe we could crowbar this old tablet out and put a new tablet in there? Maybe? Skye? No? No, Skye's not feeling that solution. The solution is we need to find a whole nother Stonehenge. Luckily there are multiple in the area, but they are increasingly well guarded. So it's a really unfortunate situation that we have to do this, but... oh well, it's what I'm used to in this game. It getting much, much more difficult than it needs to be. Before we leave this hole, I'm gonna save. I fully expect to die, and I forget how far away from death I am at the very moment. You can already see some Sandstalker tendrils. Over here is where things are really deadly. But I gotta deal with it eventually, and my health is full at least, so... equip some attack spells and get ready to fight for my life.
So, had a friendly chat with your little playmate, Dorian?
How do you know?
I told you I'm closer to you than you imagine. Bet he didn't have much to say. Think about it. Doesn't he remind you just a little bit of someone else you know? You shouldn't have to think too hard.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't tell if Skye's willfully in denial or if this guy's hints are actually that vague, because I don't really know what he's referring to. But anyway, we gotta finish him off in a near identical boss fight to last time. Blast. This one's pretty difficult because of all the things. The worm drakes. So I'm gonna use Polar Pulse this time. You can see there's a portal to the gargoyle homeworld where Necroth is from. Oh hey, there's already one out. So I can... Ooh, they might all be out. Nice. If I can kill them before the boss fight, then things will go a lot easier. Of course, that's not necessarily going to be easy, just easier. Yep. Yeah. So, I'll just take my lumps, deal with it the old-fashioned way. At least the worm drakes are desynchronized with their attack patterns now.
Oh dear, look at the time. Duty calls. We'll have to finish this later.
See, much more manageable. And here comes one now. Nice thing about these polar and pyropole spells is that they have a much wider area of effect. Not quite wide enough to be convenient, but more convenient than Prismatic Pulse ever was. They're just doing some synchronized attacking. I don't care for it. And we're still at risk while we're up here. Really don't want to use up all my health potions, but I might have to. Because it's definitely going to get a lot worse from here. Up. And at long last, I'm alone atop this spiral staircase to nowhere. And I accomplished this feat by luring the worm drakes to the previous area where I had enough open space to fight them. I spent about 2 to 3 minutes kiting them around to finally get enough hits to take them out. Then I came back and fought the boss. But with all of that out of the way, we can investigate this grate here in the center with a crowbar.
Here's where they kept the fun stuff. If found, return to Spike and Ludmilla's House of Pain.
So we discovered a bit of a torture chamber down there. Good thing they left their discarded chain, or else we might have been stuck indefinitely. Area was certainly quite torturous for me, but unfortunately there's plenty more torture left. So now we have to deal with all the Sandstalkers. Whoop. Now the only part of them that's actually vulnerable is their millipede center that pops out of the ground here. And of course they've got big Carpy cohorts. Really just time wasters now. That one did some damage. That's sort of worst case scenario. But it wasn't that bad. It could and indeed will be worse. Okay, that dealt with that Sandstalker. Let's wait for his tendrils to evaporate. You can avoid them by jumping, but the timing is very awkward and they usually come in from behind. It's difficult to deal with, and there's so many more Sandstalkers around here. I'm going to save because I made a little bit of progress. And it's time to get back to it and deal with the second Sandstalker, which is much more dangerous than the first was. Gotta use a health potion. It's also got a Carpy friend. That one is not nearly as impressive. Okay. Another one down. It's actually kind of hard to tell when they're being injured unless you're close enough to hear their little sound effect, which is a weird, like, little whispery, horrifying thing. But if you are close enough to hear it, then you're also close enough to be afflicted by their melee strike. I learned that out the hard way. They can sort of bite you with their terrifying maw. They're pretty creepy. You can see why they inspired a series of B-movies. And this is all to get to the second Stonehenge. Stonehenge, like all the previous levels, was featured in a Skittles commercial. There we go. Got my bearings in combat finally. But yeah, just like the previous two levels, Stonehenge here was inspired by a Skittles commercial. No actual overt use of Skittles anywhere in the level, or indeed in the commercial. They just sort of appear at the end. But this was all foreshadowed by the opening cutscene and most of Ganish's conversations as well. There's another Sandstalker back in the corner behind Stonehenge. And I will, of course, link the Stonehenge commercial in the video description. Because this wouldn't make any sense if you didn't see it. Come on. Oh, man. Once a Sandstalker has emerged, it becomes much, much more accurate with its attacks, and much more voluminous with them as well. Okay, this is not worth dealing with, so I'm intentionally, semi-intentionally dying there. And trying again. I'm going to cut past all the enemies that I killed and should have saved after killing. Okay, and back to the Grabboid we left off on. That's what the creatures in Tremors were called. Learned that in a different Let's Play. If you recall, this one was accompanied by 3 worm drakes. So what I did was I lured them away and dealt with them in relative safety, just like I did with the previous group of 3 worm drakes. This one was a lot easier because it was 2 green and 1 red worm drakes instead of 3 red. But still, I am sick to death of worm drakes. And these Sandstalkers have about outlived their welcome as well. Taking just about all my potions. Yeah, that one took 2 potions. Just to kill that one. We're gonna get a bit of a refill before too long, but still, it's pretty crazy. They have way too much health and do way too much damage. Just like all of the enemies in this game. There's definitely another one nearby. There he is. I'm going to run away just a little bit, because he's terrifying me. Drink a potion, and switch to the slightly more DPS spell. Might be actually identical DPS between the 2 spells, but this one feels like it does a little more damage overall. And the Sandstalkers are immune to status effects, which is very, very unfortunate because one of our new spells would be absolutely perfect for dealing with them, but they are immune to it.
Damp and yucky and no way down.
Oh, well. Get it? No fun whatsoever.
At least we've got a little bit of levity to bring my mood up after dealing with all these deaths. This is absolutely by far the most deaths that I've had to edit out of a video, so I guess never watch a blind Let's Play this game, and never play this game. It borders on completely unplayable. That said, I do still like it. I like it a lot more than most other games that I've played. I might be the only person alive who enjoys this game more than Breath of the Wild. Yep. Not just trying to be contrarian. I actually bear that controversial opinion. So, a couple of big ones. Barely noteworthy at this point. All to get back here to this cave, which is covered in boulders, which means rumblestone. Skye occasionally will plant the rumblestone behind herself if you position yourself in the wrong spot, and then it becomes very difficult to get away from the explosion. And I have died that way. So this time I was overly cautious. Plus the explosion looked really cool. We do have the means to get down into that well, but there's no reason to do so at the moment. So we've almost entirely explored this area. More degraded bosses. Yep, get out of here. And I believe just one more Sandstalker who could still very easily kill me. So I'm going to back off just a bit and save. Just to play it safe. There's his hole. You can't really aim and dodge at the same time. So, should probably go by shmup rules and just fire indiscriminately and focus on dodging. But we don't really have the mana for that.
Another formerly sentient cliff.
Really don't get why she calls them cliffs, but maybe that's their name. Anyway, second of the keys, same as the first. Power it up. Randomly press buttons. Randomly press the buttons. Thank you. It's possible to solve this one without even pressing one of the buttons. I might have already messed up that opportunity. It'll auto-solve eventually. There it is. See, this is why Skye was too stupid to open the puzzle box. Because I'm not even willing to look at what the puzzle is before I solve it. And indeed, it is solved. So let's move on.
Greetings, noble watcher.
Who is so bold as to awaken the... You must be she whose coming was foretold.
Uh-oh, I've been foretold. That's never good. Kind watcher, I am trying to...
Awaken Gwinella's white horse. So it is written. All of the celestial calendars must be reversed. The final key you will need is in a secret setting that the sun reveals for but 3 minutes each 24 hours. Look in this glass, Seeker. What do you see? Do you see one clever enough to uncover the secret?
I see one who wishes she had overslept this morning.
What the looking glass reflects will determine your success.
Then I'm in deep crud.
More hints to a puzzle that would be obvious if we had gone down the well earlier. Which means now is the time to go down the well. Can use our chain and manacle. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, there it is, chain and manacle. Some people do find that very fun, Skye. No kink shaming here. Gross. Maybe a little shaming. I believe that journal entry is referring to this plant life here.
Your new starving stink pot plant enjoys a diet of small animals and does best in indirect sunlight.
Seems to be two separate plants, but everything refers to it as one. Sort of a Venus flytrap and a snapdragon kind of thing. And it's supposed to stay out of direct sunlight, which is why we brought this hand mirror to reflect sunlight on it.
A secret setting that the sun reveals for but 3 minutes every 24 hours. Never been a patient, Cal. Here, eat this. Rich in minerals.
Well, that got us our key. I'm actually going to have to review the video because I've seen that cutscene twice and I still don't know what it actually shows. It's too dark. Usually the video comes out a lot brighter though. But as of right now, I don't know what just happened. What I do know is that we can move on to the third and luckily final part of this level. It's going to be more combat intensive, if you can believe it, but I find it a little easier than the last one was. Still gonna save, just in case. And I'm gonna work on some new spells. Amplify magic or magnify magic. We don't really need, I promised to show off Universal Smite, so let's do that. And the one I actually want is Affliction. Can't have them both at the same time because we've only got one purple Skittle though. So let's show off Universal Smite. I've just saved, so the fact that it's suicidally useless will not come into play. So we got 2 enemies here. A lot more than 2 actually. It's got kind of a little burst effect. It doesn't seem to be damaging even the one, much less both the enemies. And my whole mana bar didn't really do much of anything to these guys. Yeah, if it is working, it's not working very well. And there you see the orange wormdrake. If you recall, the yellowish-orange grunks were insanely powerful. These are insanely powerful wormdrakes. They've got like twice as much HP and do way more damage than even the red wormdrakes. So they are a nightmare, and there's one way to deal with them. And I'm going to show that way off, finally. Which is the Affliction spell. Affliction is a phenomenal spell. Been looking forward to using this thing. Way too much stuff is immune to it, specifically the Sandstalkers, because it's a damage over time spell, which counts as a status effect, which they are immune to. But it is lethal. Once an enemy is afflicted, they're dead. So afflict this guy, afflict his friend, or I guess afflict him twice. But what we want to do is afflict the wormdrake, and I believe I just did. That will allow us to kill the wormdrake. I've never gotten that wormdrake dead. Yes! So that's superb. That's best case scenario. And we've still got an attack spell equipped to at least soften up the second wormdrake. Up. But a big one's coming. I don't need my attention split right now. It is very hard to afflict a worm drake, but the results speak for themselves. So I'll just go into this cave, wait for you to die. Hey! Survived. And then immediately died upon a second casting. Even though it's a damage over time spell. So that ruins my hypothesis, but still. Affliction is very, very, very effective, and I like it a lot. I do not like this worm drake one bit. But this is the best spot to deal with him. Get our health pickup. And wait for it to make another pass. It's not going to because it's directly above my head. Okay, this should be far enough away. Ah, my timing was way off. I'm gonna cut ahead to when this worm drake is dead, because it's gonna take forever. There it goes. Glorious. Definitely gonna save that. And you know there's an infinitesimal chance that Universal Smite, that spell that I demonstrated as being useless, will do something against these groups of Sandstalkers we've got ahead of us. I'm not hopeful, but there might be some reason that they gave it to us. Might. Certainly doesn't seem to be the case. If anything, it looks like nothing is happening at all. Yeah. Universal Smite is ridiculously terrible. But anyway, another big one. Million Sandstalker tentacles. And I believe no more health potions, so that's the end of that. But that's what I saved for. Now, to deal with things properly. I believe I'll keep Affliction equipped to deal with that big one. And spray the rest down with Polar Pulse. Because it actually kills stuff. Okay, you are now afflicted. You will suffer and die. Thank you. So at this point, there's really only one thing to show off. It's over in a little safe area. You can actually see it now. It's a cool horse.
That must be Gwinella's white horse. Distinct lack of friskiness.
Yep, it has been turned to stone, and even casting Awakened Stone on it doesn't elicit any dialogue. Not even a repeat of the previous dialogue. So, you've seen enough of me fighting Sandstalkers. It's boring and frustrating. I'm going to do the rest of that off screen and cut back to when this area is cleared out. Ah, finally. Gaze upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. For I have slain all the Sandstalkers. This leaves us free to explore, finally. There were two right around here. That was the real hard part. The rest of them are kind of singled out. Makes it a lot more easy to deal with.
Another formerly sentient cliff.
Yep, we know what to do, Skye. Been there plenty of times. And there are some little caves to explore with Diminish over here. I'm fond of Diminish, so let's check them out. Nothing too great in there, but I guarantee these rune mines will come in handy eventually. And the other one has a health potion, I believe, so... Like I said, this area is overall easier than the previous one, the previous Stonehenge. but not very easy overall. One thing that makes it easier is health pickups. There are health pickups scattered around this area, which is kind of nice. They're usually pretty small health pickups, but they get the job done. Over here is another sea of sludge that we could polar pulse our way through it, but there's nothing on the other side, just a dead end. So we just gotta solve this last Stonehenge. I like they slightly redesigned each one. It's a nice little touch. This one we cannot solve just by randomly pressing buttons, or at least it would take forever. Much longer than the last one did. So we've got the DNA and sort of a musical note and then a carrot. So that's the order we want to get him in eventually. Now the buttons are activated. One little annoying thing is that when pressing this button, it's kind of hard to tell how things ended up. But no big deal. We can work around that. So I think, yeah, we want to get the DNA. Oh, we want to get the carrot on the bottom, because only this last one moves the bottom. Got a music note on the bottom. One more should do it. Yeah, there we go. We don't have to touch that switch ever again. Now we just gotta line up the DNA and the music note. Where is the DNA? Oh, they're lined up. Perfect. So now we just gotta press the middle button a few times. See? Can't just solve everything randomly. One more.
Who dares disturb my ancient slumber? You have done it. You have freed Gwinella's horse from the trap of time. Lead it to the Bone Lands, where Gwynella herself must be freed.
Has time been turned back everywhere?
Alas, no. Beyond these cliffs, time will be unaffected. Before you find Gwynella in the Bone Lands, you will need to pass through goblin terrain. Stay alert. The goblins hold the key to Gwinella's rebirth.
How do you know?
It has been.
Foretold, of course. Silly me. Gotta love that foretelling stuff.
Hurry, this way.
I liked Skye's glitched out new outfit during that cutscene. Never seen that before. And I really like never having to see that level again.